To the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. Listen to Mike Shildt's postgame comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
We are live inside our San Diego studios on this Saturday evening. Final score in Washington, D.C. The Nationals 4 and the Padres 2 as the Nationals even up this three-game series. At a game apiece, Padres fall to 53-45 on the season. Nationals improve to 39-59, and it sets up the rubber game of this three-game series tomorrow in Washington, D.C. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Welcome into the Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Hey, player, when it comes to giving you what you want, Jamul Casino Resort isn't playing around. It's way more than a place to game. It's a place where you can stay and play in every possible way. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll go back to D.C., hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We may also have some additional post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse, a full game recap coming your way as well. But to sum this one up, I think pretty quickly, we talked, in fact, I took a caller during our rain delay programming, and I talked a lot about the offense. And one of the things the Padres needing to do was to, A, score more in general, but also, B, hit starting pitchers that you feel like they should hit better. And I brought up Mike Soroka from yesterday. Padres won that game yesterday 7-2, but against the guy in Soroka who has not had a great year, they only got one run against him in 5 innings. And today they faced the young left-hander in Mitchell Parker, who came in with an ERA north of 5, and the Padres only got 2 runs against him in the third, and that was it. Parker went 6 innings, 2 runs given up on 5 hits. So that was problem number 1 offensively in this game. Mitchell Parker came in an ERA higher than 5, and we mentioned his last 14 starts or so. I can go back through the numbers. I'll spare you right now. Let me just tell you, they were not good. And one of the good starts he had in that stretch, we talked about it, was the start he made at Petco Park against the Padres back in June. And Parker, once again today, puts together a quality start. So that was issue number 1 in this game. The fact that the Padres only got 2 runs against Mitchell Parker. They got it from the bottom half of the order, bottom third of the order. They got it on an RBI double for Maldonado, RBI single from Arise to score Maldonado. And the Padres ultimately tied the game at 2 and then never could get another run in this game against Parker and then against a Nationals bullpen that has been really shaky, to say the least. So that was problem number 1. I thought Jesse and Tony made a really good point in the post-game wrap-up and during this game, that this game also sort of was hanging in the balance in the 8th inning. Padres trailing 4-2 at that point. They got a gift from the Nationals defense. A throwing error by the catcher, Drew Millis, sets up runners on 2nd and 3rd. Nobody out. Manny Machado coming up. You've got Jose Ferrer, a left-hander on the mound. Manny strikes out. Gavin Sheets then hits a tapper back to Ferrer. They get Fernando Tatis Jr. caught in a rundown between 3rd and home, and then a fly out from Xander Bogaerts, and the inning is over. But again, Padres had runners on 2nd and 3rd, down by 2, against this Nationals bullpen with the heart of their order coming up, and could not find a way to get a single run across. So that was a huge, huge inning in this game. And the Padres also had some other opportunities in this game where they couldn't find ways to score. But again, you look at the late situation down by 2 in the 8th inning, that was certainly a problem. But the Padres need to, like I said in the pregame during our rain delay programming today, A, they need to score more runs in general, right? We know that's something that just has to happen if this team ultimately wants to go where we think they can go. I think that's safe to say. I don't think that's unfair to say because it's been such an up and down offensive season to this point. But beyond that, again, you look at a starting pitcher today, much like we talked about with Mike Soroka in a win yesterday, a starting pitcher today in Mitchell Parker, where you look up and he's got 6 innings and 2 runs given up. And let's be honest, only scoring 2 runs against anybody on a lot of nights, that's not going to be enough to win a ball game. And look, Yu Darvish had an up and down outing, 5 innings, 3 runs given up. Yuki Matsui gives up a home run to Nathaniel Lowe. But all in all, I mean, the Nationals scored 4 runs on 6 hits here tonight against Padres pitching. And could the pitching have been a little bit better? Sure. But 4 runs shouldn't be insurmountable for this Padres offense against a guy like Mitchell Parker and what's been a super, super shaky Nationals bullpen this season. And unfortunately, the Padres couldn't find a way to get off that 2-run mark today. They'll try to win the series tomorrow. They've got a tough task tomorrow. They do have Nick Pivetta on the mound for them, but they do face left-hander Mackenzie Gore, who's having a good season on the mound for the Nationals tomorrow, and it will be a rubber game of the series tomorrow. And there are plenty of other aspects to dive into in this game. We'll get into it with our game recap coming up in just a second. But again, just off the bat here on our post-game coverage, I had to look at this game. And again, I look at the offense, hey, 4 runs against this team and this pitching staff. And my goodness, the Nationals, they make a lot of mistakes. They really do. We talked about it yesterday. No disrespect to those guys, but if you're wondering why they're 20 games under 500, you can kind of see it over the course of the 2 games. I mean, you just can. There are a lot of mistakes and errors and misplays. You can see the marks of a bad team. There were times in this game it felt like they were trying to hand the Padres the game, and the Padres just couldn't take advantage. So is it the end of the world? No. But, goes back to what we talked about in the pregame today and even in the midst of the rain delay before first pitch today. And that was, hey, Padres offense, they got to find ways to score more. They got to find ways to take advantage of opposing starting pitching that's, kind of mediocre. And the Padres couldn't do that here today against the Washington Nationals. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll have a full game recap when we come back. We'll hear from Mike Shildt. Much, much more to come. Final score, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues after this on the Padres.
Imagine having
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Final score, the Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. We'll hear from Mike Shildt coming up in a little bit. We'll also go inside the Padres clubhouse and hear some additional post-game reaction from Padres players. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres today. Let's begin in the top of the second. I actually should tell you that we first had more than an hour rain delay before first pitch. But when we finally got underway, it was Mr. Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. It was a scoreless game going to the top of the second. Darvish got the first 2 outs in the second, but then Brady House singled. Dalen Lyle doubled to put runners on second and third. Drew Millis was next.
Pitch here is hit on a line out towards right center field. That's going to get down and a base hit. Fernando into the gap to cut it off. Both runs will come in to score. A 2-run single for the number 8 hitter, Drew Millis. And the Nationals go ahead 2-0 here in the second inning.
So a 2-0 Nats lead early, but the Padres responded against left-hander Mitchell Parker in the top of the third. Jose Iglesias hit a leadoff double with 1 out, and Iglesias still in scoring position. It was Martin Maldonado.
Now pitch, and Maldonado in the air to left center field. That's really well struck. Young is going back at the wall, leaps up, bangs into the fence, can't make the catch as the ball rolls back towards the outfield grass. Maldonado into second with an RBI double, and look out, Jacob Young.
Yeah, Jacob Young took a hard crash into that left center field fence. He would end up being okay. Later in the inning, Maldonado still on second base. Padres still trailing 2-1. They were 2 men away as Luis Ariz dug in.
And Ariz hits it over the head of the second baseman Garcia into center. Maldonado rumbling around third on his way to score. A game-tying RBI single for Luis Ariz. And it's 2-2 here in the third.
It would stay tied at 2 for a little bit. Padres had a great scoring chance against Parker in the top of the 5th inning. They had runners on first and second with 2 outs. Luis Ariz singled through the left side of the infield, but Jose Iglesias was held at third base. The Padres had the bases loaded for Manny Machado, but Parker struck out Manny to end the inning, got out of a big-time jam. That missed opportunity was really costly because Darvish issued a leadoff walk and a 1-out single in the bottom of the 5th inning to put runners on first and third. C.J. Abrams drove in a run with a soft RBI ground out that gave Washington a 3-2 lead. Darvish went 5, allowed 3 runs. Yuki Matsui came in for the bottom of the 6th inning. Nathaniel Lowe took him deep, a solo home run. That made it 4-2. Parker, who came in with north of a 5 ERA, went 6 innings, gave up just the 2 early runs. Padres then had chances against the Nats' shaky bullpen, a base runner in the 7th inning. They did not score. They had runners on second and third with nobody out in the 8th inning. They did not score again with the heart of the order coming up. And then they went down 1-2-3 against Nationals closer Kyle Finnegan in the 9th inning. And that was that in this one. Final score, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2 as the Padres dropped the middle game of this 3-game series. Padres went 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They had big-time opportunities. We told you about the bases loaded in the 5th inning, 2 on, nobody out, to in scoring position, down by 2 in the 8th inning. They could not score there. And ultimately, the 4 runs on 6 hits for the Nationals today, too much for the Padres to overcome as the Padres dropped to 53-45. Nationals improve to 39-59. We'll step aside. When we return, we'll hear from Mike Shildt, plus much more to come as we continue our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. We're back after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2 in the middle game of this 3-game series. We'll hear from Mike Shildt in just a moment. We'll also hear some post-game reaction from tonight's starting pitcher, Yu Darvish, and from Jackson Merrill as well as we continue to recap this one. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, much more to come, as well as our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues. The Padres trail 2-0 in this game early. Yu Darvish giving up a couple of runs in the second. Padres then responded with a 2-spot in the top of the third. Darvish giving up a run in the fifth inning. Yuki Matsui giving up a solo home run in the sixth inning. Again, Padres had lots of opportunities in this game. They were only able to get 2 runs against Mitchell Parker in this game through 6 innings. The Nationals starting pitcher. Padres had the bases loaded in the fifth. They had runners on second and third. Nobody out in the eighth inning with the heart of the order coming up. Could not find a way to scratch across a run against the Nationals bullpen. And that was that here tonight. Padres only got 2 runs on 6 hits. The Nationals found a way to get 4. And that was kind of the story in this game. Yu Darvish, pretty good third start of the year. Little up and down, 5 innings, 3 runs given up, 69 pitches, 41 for strikes, 5 hits allowed. He walked 1 and struck out 1 in this game. Let's go back to Nationals Park in D.C. and hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of things together to create some traffic. Did a lot of, small things. The bunt was in play again tonight. The approach was good. Like the Glazes getting, started with the answer back after the 2 spot, and we answered immediately back. Louis took good at bats again tonight. We just had some traffic out there that couldn't quite cash in and get that proverbial big hit.
How much is you basically still working back?
I think after this third start, he's effectively back. We didn't want to tack another inning on him. We got a pretty fresh bullpen, carrying 9 guys. Ran into some traffic, but I feel like he's back. But we weren't gonna. Closer game or different situation. I mean, it was still a close game, so I don't want to misrepresent that. But, he'd worked fairly hard, and we thought it was an opportunity. Not as fresh a bullpen, different circumstances. He was good enough to go back out, but, want to shave an inning off of him. But I think he's more or less back.
How did you like how he responded to that second inning?
Quite a bit. I liked it quite a bit. I mean, listen, you got 2 outs, nobody on, and to their credit, they strung together 3 straight hits. And then after that, went back to work. Was able to get a clean third, clean fourth, and they got him for 1 in the fifth. But overall, I thought it was an encouraging outing. Quite a bit. I mean, him and Joe, their presence is very valuable to our club. Especially both of them. But they're both excellent leaders and lead by example and good encouragers, good teammates. They're helping grow other guys. But you being back on the mound and physically being out there is. You look out and you got a guy with, I believe, I want to make sure I get this right, 203 career professional wins that is out there with that kind of experience. And there's leadership that it takes place on the field too. And so it's very comforting to see him back.
How would you describe Grace's transfer, his ability?
I mean, special. I mean, you're talking about his reaction time is unbelievably quick. Everything he does is controlled but quick. He made 3 outstanding plays, and we played great defense tonight. We played a really good baseball game. It was a good baseball game overall. But Hosey the ball to his left, a couple line drives he snared. He's got unbelievably sure and quick hands. Because you can try to have quick hands, but if you're not sure-handed, it doesn't do you much good. But I really appreciate the ball that he dove on, being ready for that opposite. The left-handed opposite field barrel, staying ready, getting a good jump because the ball can get on you a little bit. He's fantastic. He's a difference maker. He's had great at bats, and he's played very, very well. And defense was on display tonight. Coupled with Jackson. Wow, what a play Jackson made, and the play Bogey made in the 8th was highlight reel. And Darvish's play in the 1st, on the swing and bunt was fantastic. But We played tremendous defense tonight and just couldn't figure a way to get on top.
Were there a few times you thought, like, all right, we're going to get Parker out of here, where you guys seemed to be on the verge of doing that?
Yes. I feel like that almost every night. But I did feel like that tonight. Yes, absolutely. And we were right there. That's credit to make pitches, but we were on the brink a lot. Just couldn't get the, like I said, the big hit.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after today's 4-2 loss against the Washington Nationals. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager. Well, excuse me. We'll hear from tonight's starting pitcher. We just heard from the manager. Hear from tonight's starting pitcher, Yu Darvish. Some additional post-game reaction coming your way, as well as the Padres drop the middle game of this 3-game series today in D.C. We'll also have a relief pitcher of the game, catch of the game. Jackson Merrill made a really nice defensive play in this one. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and also get you ready for the series finale against the Nationals in D.C. tomorrow. We hear from Yu Darvish when we come back on the Padres Radio Network.
Tony Gwynn Jr.
Welcome back to the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show, brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2. We'll hear from Padres starting pitcher Yu Darvish in just a moment. First, let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, presented by David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys. When your freedom and future are on the line, you need the best arm in the pen. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com.
Our relief pitcher of the game will stay on the Padres side of things for this one. We'll give it to David Morgan, who did a good job in the 8th inning, came in with a runner on base, had to face the Nationals cleanup batter in Josh Bell, and through one pitch, got a double play ball, and got out of the inning with the score still 4-2, and the Padres still in just a 2-run deficit. Hey, against Kyle Finnegan, who they hit hard yesterday and who has struggled as of late, a 2-run deficit for the Padres offense shouldn't be too much to overcome. So For Morgan, to me, that's a really good piece of work in that eighth inning. One pitch gets out of the inning, and for that reason, David Morgan, our relief pitcher of today's game, he got 2 outs with 1 pitch, and you know what? Kept it a 2-run game, gave the Padres plenty of opportunity to come back and tie this game and try to win this game. So David Morgan, our relief pitcher of the game. As far as Yu Darvish making his 3rd start of the season today, he was up and down today. 5 innings, 3 runs given up, 5 hits. He did walk 1 and strike out 1. So Darvish now through 3 starts on the year, a 6.08 ERA in 13 plus innings. Again, it's been a small sample size. He was pretty good today. Command, I thought, was probably a little bit better today than it's been in the past. You heard Mike Shildt there before the break talk about why they took him out at just 69 pitches. Fresh bullpen. They felt like they could shave an inning off today, but Darvish continues to work his way back. 69 pitches today. And again, 5 innings, 3 runs given up. Not great, but solid for Yu Darvish today in this start. Unfortunately, he took the loss. He drops to 0-2 on the year. Let's go back to D.C. inside the Padres clubhouse. Here is post-game reaction from Yu Darvish alongside interpreter Shingo Ori.
And how are you progressing? First start, second start, third start.
今日はちょっとあんまりこのロケーションとか結構真ん中にいっぱい投げてしまったので、球の強度もそんなになかったので、いいとは思えなかったですけど、一応今まで一番長いイニングを投げれたので、そこは良かった。
I wasn't particularly happy about, how I was pitching out there. I was able to go 5 innings, and that's the longest that I've been able to go after coming back. So I think that part was good. But, I was maybe getting too much on the strike zone. So that part I think I can adjust and be better next time out. It was a remarkable comeback. No, just the one rehab start and then didn't go back to the minors. How is your stamina, and what do you think is kind of made it so that the command hasn't been as good as you want?
スタミナは今日は意外と大丈夫で、最後のバッターもいい感じでは投げられたので、ただやっぱりコマンドがやっぱりちょっとなんか甘いところにどうしても入ってしまうところがあるので、それがやっぱり一番課題です。
Yeah, I mean, stamina-wise, I feel good. I was strong all throughout the game, so that part I think is good. Just to go back, it's the command. That was part of the issue for tonight, and that's something that I need to work on a little bit more leading up to the next game. Is that anything to do with not having, it was a very interesting way that you came back, and you're really 3 starts in. Do you think that's the command issue?
それっていうよりかは、いろいろやっぱりこの投げれる状態にするのにアジャストメカニクスもあるので、そこに慣れてない部分もあると思いますね。
No, I think it's just the part of coming back to the game, just the, mechanical adjustment that I need to fine tune in order to, have that right command. Once I get there, I should be fine.
After that second inning got a little bit away from you, how did you feel like you responded, and what went into responding like that?
2イニング目で2取られた後に、その後結構しっかり抑えたの。そこら辺の鍵は何だったんですか？いや、
それでもやっぱハードヒットはされているところがあったので、味方がうまいこと助けてくれた、ラッキーな部分があったというだけだと思います。
I think the results were obviously good, but there were some hard hit balls, and I think the defense behind me did a phenomenal job. So I feel like I was a little bit lucky, being able to get out those innings afterwards.
That was Yu Darvish alongside interpreter Shingo Ori inside the Padres clubhouse after today's game. Again, the Padres fall 4-2 to the Washington Nationals. Darvish takes the loss. He drops to 0-2. He goes 5 innings and allows 3 earned runs on 5 hits in this game. Padres did have a big defensive play in this game. Let's hear today's catch of the game.
Which defensive play had the biggest impact on today's game?
He is at the wall, leaps up, and he makes the catch.
This is the catch of the game.
Gonna hang a star for Jackson Merrill.
Reeled in by Anthony's Fish Grotto La Mesa, celebrating 80 years of seafood excellence.
There's a line drive into center field. Merrill charging in. He will dive forward, make the catch. That's going to be a double play. They're going to get Abrams at second base. CJ sold out, not thinking Merrill was going to catch it, but he did, and that ends the third inning.
Great play by Jackson Merrill in a big spot in that third inning. Again, runner on second, one out, and a great play by Merrill coming in, diving to get it, threw back to second base. CJ Abrams just did not really do a good base running job. He took off thinking it was going to fall, and Merrill said no way, caught the baseball, made the easy throw to second base to double up Abrams, and that was a big double play. That was our catch of today's game, despite the Padres losing by a final score of 4-2. When we come back, we'll hear more post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse, plus a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow's series finale in Washington, D.C. Padres fall 4-2 on this Saturday to the Nationals. More after this on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, Nationals 4 and the Padres 2 as the Padres drop the middle game of this three-game series. They're back at it for the rubber match of this series tomorrow morning here in California. We'll have more on that game coming up in just a little bit. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and so we'll also tell you about today's play of the game. For Jackson Merrill in this game offensively, was not a great one for Jackson today. He went 0 for 4. In fact, you really want to boil it down. A big problem for the Padres in this game, and it really kind of reared its head in the fifth inning when they had the bases loaded, and then the runners on second and third down by 2 in the eighth inning with nobody out, and the Padres couldn't score in either situation. The heart of the lineup today had a rough one. Machado went 0 for 4. Sheets went 0 for 4. Bogey went 0 for 4. Merrill went 0 for 4. That's a combined 0 for 16 from your 3 through 6 hitters. And look, it's going to be hard to win a game if you're middle of the order. 3 through 6 goes a combined 0 for 16. In fact, and nobody was even on base here today from that group. So it was a tough well, I should say, excuse me, Sheets did get on base via fielder's choice. You get the point. Nobody had a base hit. Nobody produced a run in that heart of the lineup today. So that was a big issue for the Padres in this 4-2 loss. Jackson Merrill did make a great play in center field. That diving catch that we heard before the break turned into a double play. Helped Yu Darvish through the third inning. So always good to see Jackson. If he's not getting it done with the bat, then he's getting it done with the glove. Good to see that, through some of the offensive struggles at times this year for Merrill, it certainly has not affected his defense. He's been really, really good out there and was really good out there once again here today. Let's go back to D.C. inside the Padres clubhouse and hear some post-game reaction from Padres center fielder Jackson Merrill.
How frustrating are these times when it is a good baseball game?
It happens. No, honestly. That's just how baseball goes sometimes, I mean, yesterday we capitalized on those moments. Today we didn't. So just put it behind you, come back tomorrow, capitalize tomorrow.
There were some big defensive plays, including that dive from you in center field. What does it feel like when you're able to make those plays?
Yeah, I just feel like on the offensive side of the game, I haven't been really there for the past few months. So, doing anything on defense is huge. Help the team in any way possible. I really wish I caught that homer, though. I didn't think I was that close, but then I looked at it. I was, damn, it's close now. Big wall.
Did everything right on that, right? I mean, you got it.
Yeah. Even at the plate today, I feel like I did some stuff right. Just didn't go my way. So.
Have you kind of accepted that this is who you guys are, that you're going to play tight games, that you're going to have to manufacture?
And I think we're all okay with it. We're okay with the grind right now because we know we're going to have an outburst here and there. So, play all these tight games. We get close to the end of the season. We get this outburst going. That's what we need when in the playoffs. So that's our main focus is just grinding down this last stretch. We're a third of the way from the end of the season. We just got to keep playing hard.
Camaraderie between teammates help make the grind easier almost?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great group in here. A lot of talking, a lot of fun, but a lot of love too. I think every joke and every act of, talking that happens, it's all out of love. It's not actually real.
That was Jackson Merrill inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today. Look, the Padres, as we know, and Jackson was asked about it there, they play so many close games, and you can add this one to the list and ended up being a 2-run game. So that 1 or 2 run game stat that we keep on up, you add on to it today. Padres have now played 55 games this season decided by 1 or 2 runs. They are now 34-21 in those games. They've only played 98 games. 55 of them have been decided by 1 or 2 runs, and it lines up with exactly how you feel about this team, where they're just playing so many close games each and every night. And not to go over this point again, to belabor this point again, but it goes back to what I said in the opening segment of our post game tonight, and that is, it is so imperative, and I keep on talking about it, but I really think it's true. It's so imperative that the Padres simply score more. They got to get this offense into a higher gear, because it is just a hard way to live when you're not scoring all that much. Now, yesterday they had the 5-run 9th inning to make it a 7 spot. Remember, they only had 2 runs against Mike Soroka in this Nationals bullpen before that 9th inning. Again, they faced a guy in Mitchell Parker today who came in a 5+ ERA. They got 2 runs against him in 6 innings. They only scored 2 runs on 6 hits. Guess what? A lot of nights in the major leagues, 2 runs, not going to get it done. So, look, they've played well in the close games. I've said this before. I would just really like this offense to kick it into a higher gear, because you do feel like over the course of 162, playing these close games, it's not an impossible way to live and make the postseason and win a lot of games. It's not. They're proving it right now with their record, but you'd rather avoid it. playing that many close games if you can. You'd rather create a little breathing room, make things a little bit easier on yourself, not just because it's easier to win games like that, but it also takes pressure off what has been a heavily used bullpen to this point. So we'll see if the Padres can bounce back with a win tomorrow in this series finale in D.C. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a number of finals around the major leagues today. Diamondbacks beat up on the Cardinals 10-1 in Arizona today. Eugenio Suarez in that game for Arizona had a big game. He had 2 home runs in that one now, 33 home runs on the year for Eugenio Suarez. Other finals, Cubs beat up on the Red Sox 6-0 in Chicago. Pete Crow Armstrong had a home run in that game for the Cubbies. The Yankees came back to beat the Braves 12-9. The Yankees trailed in that game 5-0. They also trailed 7-3 in that game, and they came back to win it. Trent Grisham had a big day for the Yankees. Grisham in that one had a big home run in the 9th inning. Yankees win it 12-9 against the Braves in Atlanta after trailing early. A's beat the Guardians 8-2 in Cleveland. Rangers beat the Tigers 4-1 in Arlington. Rays beat the Orioles 4-3 in Tampa Bay. White Sox beat the Pirates 10-4 in Pittsburgh. Mike Tauchman had a big 3-run double in a 6-run 6th inning for the White Sox in that one. Phillies beat the Angels 9-5 in Philadelphia. Kyle Schwarber hit a grand slam in that game for the Phils. Marlins won a 4th in a row. They beat the Royals 3-1. Reds beat the Mets 5-2 in New York. Blue Jays beat the Giants 6-3 in Toronto. Mariners beat the Astros, or I should say, beating the Astros 4-1 in Seattle in the 4th inning. Brewers ahead of the Dodgers right now in LA 6-5 in the 7th inning. And the Rockies lead the Twins 10-5 in Colorado in the 9th inning. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Saturday across the major leagues. Let's tell you about today's player of the game.
The line between winning and losing can be razor thin. Which play was the difference between victory and defeat? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Pardon me, not player of the game, play of the game. You would think 98 games into the season, I know what I'm doing by now. Play of the game. We'll tell you about it. Nathaniel Lowe, we'll give it to him. That solo home run against Yuki Matsui in the 6th inning made it a 2-run deficit for the Padres. Big swing from Lowe, the only home run hit in this game. So unfortunately, that'll be our play of the game here today. The Lowe home run against Matsui in the 6th inning to give the Nationals a 4-2. Go on to win by that final score in the middle game of this series. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, it'll be the series finale as the Padres wrap up the first leg of their 10-game road trip. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. Left-hander Mackenzie Gore on the mound for the Nationals. Bright and early tomorrow, little Padres and pancakes for you. First pitch at 10:35 a.m., and our pregame coverage will begin at 9:35 from inside our San Diego studios. So we'll talk to you bright and early for the final game of this series tomorrow. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game coverage there as well. Taking a look at the final totals today for the Nationals: 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. They left on 3. For the Padres, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left on 6. Winning pitcher in this game, Mitchell Parker, who improves to 6-10. Losing pitcher, Yu Darvish, who drops to 0-2. And the save goes to Kyle Finnegan, his 19th of the season. Time of game, after a 1 hour and 5-minute weather delay in D.C. today, the actual time of the ball game, 2 hours and 27 minutes, and the crowd at Nationals Park in D.C., 31,100. 36. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 10:35 a.m. here in California. Pre-game coverage begins at 9:35. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Bobby Sharton, and our audio correspondent inside the clubhouse in D.C., Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score, the Washington Nationals 4 and the San Diego Padres 2. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great night.